Oh, there we go. And we are recording. Let's go look. Did we not have something on? Let's see. Last time around, podcast ideas. No, nothing terribly useful there. Because last time we did AI and we did processes and procedures and such.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, leveraging AI for business and business automation and templates. We've done hiring, scaling with contractors, elevator pitch, overcoming barriers, and business financing.
let's do sort of the same thing as the scaling is. Let's do a little bit of like when and how to grow,
Ooh.
because this is actually something that is near and dear to my heart right now.
Oh, I think I remembered what the other one was. It was something around marketing, branding, or like social media.
That is too big. I can't even begin to think of where we were going with that one.
I think marketing was more like maybe how to get clients or how
Was
to.
it, did it have to, was it something that we're going to talk about that with regards to AI and basically like, I think we did. We talked about like templates and stuff like that and consistent message.
Yeah. No, I think it was just something around like not so much AI in that, but just like marketing your business, like getting your business out there, or maybe finding customers, something along that lines. Uh, I'm don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that would just like sort of fall into place for that. And I am not right now. Well, we'll do this a little different. Well, maybe we won't. Yeah, because usually we go like we give them both and we're just like bam, bam. But maybe we'll just like figure out where we want to go with the second one. Let's see how that goes. Let's just try it that way and see how that one goes. Let's see. I get a little less of my ad. I have just enough to be like for people that care. I can see that. Yep, close enough. Here, I'll just do that, and then it doesn't matter. No, they're like this. So I'm like a little bit more. So I'm a little shorter, and that means I can that up. And I'll end up bring that out like that. Okay. First world problems. And a little three, two, one. Well, hello and welcome back. We are continuing our season, continuing our series, continuing our lives. Basically, we are building better developers this season. We're building better businesses, and we are also Developreneur. I am Rob Broadhead. I am one of the founders of Developreneur, also a founder of RB Consulting, where we are what they called a boutique consulting firm. In our case, what that means is we sit down with you, understand your business, and then we help you craft a way forward. We look through all of the stuff that's out there, the technology sprawl that exists, whether it's already there with your business or whether it's just out there in the world. And through simplification, automation, integration, and innovation, we put all those things together and we tie it all up in a nice little bow, basically, for you to say, here you go. Here's what you need to do for today. Here's how you can leverage technology along with a roadmap and a plan so that we're not coming back 6 months later and saying, okay, it's a whole new world and you've got a whole bunch of new stuff. We're actually going to help you build for the future, whether that is software, whether it's stuff that we build for you, whether it's stuff you buy, whether you have to build a team as well and maybe even an entire organization around it. We can help you navigate those dangerous waters. Good thing and bad thing. Bad thing is, it's not one of these two sides of a coin right now. Bad thing is just life is freaking chaos right now. In the middle of like downsizing and working on selling a house and business is booming, which is a good thing in itself, but it's just like lots of stuff going on, crazy times, exhausting. It's just like I laid down at bed at 8 o'clock the other night and I was suddenly out cold. It was just one of those, like I didn't wake up until like 2. And then, of course, I was automatically wide awake, couldn't go back to sleep. Other problems. Good thing is that we, sometime in the past, that's now months ago now, converted the family over. We all converted over to new phones, a whole new provider, a cell provider. And because we did that, because we moved, we got all these little coupons and stuff. So now we're going to add a new iPhone to our family fairly soon. Like maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow. So that's always a good thing, is adding a little bit more like new high-end technology. It's probably a little bad because it's not going to be my phone, but hey, as long as it's in the family, that's what counts. Also, what counts, but he's not in the family, and I know we look like twins separated from birth, but is Michael on the other side? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Mike Meloche. I'm one of the co-founders of Building Better Developers, otherwise known as Developreneur. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we help small to mid-sized businesses, clinicians, really look at their software stack, figure out what their business needs for software. We use similar tools like Rob. We use automation, testing, but what we do is we come in with a quality assurance mindset. We look at your processes from the user stories. We help you identify the processes you need to streamline your business and make your life easier, and let the technology work for you, not you work for the technology. Good and bad this week. Good, I am probably about 20, almost a month into detoxing, getting myself off of caffeine, anxiety's dropping, so feeling much better, getting a little more normal-ish sleep for me. Uh, Bad side, the weather again is turning funky. We go from these weird seasons in Tennessee. We have like 2 winters, 2 springs, all this weird stuff. Right now, the temperatures dropped again, but now we're up to like 30 to 40 mile an hour winds, and it has just been a weird howling day. I can't tell if someone's knocking at the door or if it's just the wind.
That's yeah, not. It's usually like you get two seasons in a day is part of the problem. So you can get this stuff. It gets a little bit out of hand, as does occasionally some notifications. So I'm going to turn that off. This episode, we're going to talk about a little bit when and how to grow, and not really just, I mean, we always want our company to grow. We always want our business to grow, but it's really more about the process of going from maybe solopreneur or startup into a business. And maybe we've talked about, contractors, employees, but it's starting to add an employee here or there, maybe our contract here or there, and then moving up. Now, there's a lot of different ideas around this. The challenge to this, though, is that the biggest idea, the most important thing, the one that most people will tell you is a key thing, is to be able to do the growth in time to support whatever that new work is. So, for example, if you're suddenly going to have a bunch of new customers, you want to have your team in place to be able to support that customer or those new customers. You don't want to get all the customers and then have everything falling down about your head and shoulders and go, oh yeah, I need to expand. That in itself is very, very challenging. And I'm going to push you in this one to think about essentially expanding yourself more than your company, because there is a whole line of thought around, you've got a certain number of employees that support a certain number of customers, and as they grow, then you have to have more employees, and you can do some metrics around that. You do some things that you can sort of math your way through it and say, if I need one customer, one employee to support 4 customers, if I go to 8 customers, I need 2 employees, that kind of stuff. You can sort of figure those things out. There's other stuff around it. We can use technology and things like that to leverage our people better and to grow. But there's generally some sort of like we can apply some formulas to it and make it work. I want to talk about the tougher things, which are the things that you do, and this is particularly when you start out. And I'm going to confess, this is totally something that I'm running through right now, is that when you start out, you have to do everything. Now, if you're lucky, if you're smart or lucky or all of the above, then even when you start out, you're already pushing things off to other people. You start out already with an organization of some sort, even if it's like virtual assistants or contractors or something like that, or even like one-offs where maybe you need to have like a web page, website design, and so you just go and do a little project-based thing, have somebody do your website, boom, you're done, you're off and running. However you do it, if you do it the easier way, you from the start are building your organization and everything in a way that you can very easily scale that out and sort of carve off pieces and put those elsewhere. If you're like me and some larger number of people that are out there, I think, because if you listen to any of the entrepreneurial type businesses out there, a lot of what the challenge is when they take those steps to grow from small business or side hustle into something real, and they now have to scale up. Because now all the things that they did and that they knew and that they assumed are no longer useful to anybody else because that person is not going to know and assume and understand what you did, nor do they know the history or anything else. So one of the first things you have to do is figure out, what do other people know? So for example, if I hire somebody, I may know and not even care what my like PTO policy is and some things like that. If I hire an employee, I may not even, honestly, if I'm doing a side hustle, I may not even know when I get paid or how much I get paid. Employees like to get paid and they like to know what they're going to get paid. It is not going to be a happy place if you're like, surprise, you got a little paycheck, or surprise, you got a little bit more. It should not be surprise, should not be part of your paycheck unless there's like bonuses or something like that. So you need to set things in place. Now, one of the ways we can do this, because I don't want to just complain, it would be fun, but I'm going to throw some extra stuff out there. One of the things we can do is we can, at some point before we take on our first employee, is we treat ourselves as our first employees. We start thinking through, what does it look like for an employee, and basically get yourself in the habit of working for yourself. So it is things like setting business hours, and we'll talk some more about this. Michael doesn't know it because I just thought of a great topic for the next episode, but we're going to talk more about this. But it's things like setting your work hours. It's things about having a workstation, having work supplies, having a work phone number, a work website. If you have virtual machines or cloud stuff like Google or Amazon or Microsoft or any of that, it's having a work environment. It is also things like utilizing tools for work. There's a lot of people, and I've even done that. Like right now, I have a Dropbox account that is on a non-work email because it's been around forever. And I always just used it for work stuff and then some other things as well, but primarily there. And now I finally got a point. It's like, oh, I got to find a way to like move that off or figure my crap out. So you want to be able, just like with banking, we've talked about, like, have a separate bank account, make sure that you've got all of that stuff set up. And that's more the legal side. But there's also the practical side of things like having a work device, a work environment. The documentation around it is things like, when do you take holidays? Even if you work on a holiday, because we all do when we're side hustling, you should have something like, okay, for example, like in America, July 4th is going to be a holiday. I am not going to work. Even if I'm going to work, I'm going to say it's a holiday. So I'm going to tell my customers we're closed that day. Things like that. You may still work, but you need to have something so that when you have an employee, you can say, hey, you get to take a day off. Unless you're a miser and you're like, no, you never get to take a day off, in which case you're not going to have an employee that long. Think about benefits, things like, and you can even treat yourself a little bit. It's like, okay, benefits is we're going to have Pizza Fridays and we're going to go out and grab a pizza. If it's just you're going to get fat pretty quick, but like have a slice of Pizza Fridays or something like that. Start thinking about things that they're going to be things that you would like to have at the place that you work, and start implementing that with yourself before you even start bringing employees on. Because then when you do bring on employees, some of these things will be in place and you will be able to either hand those off to somebody to help manage and administer some of those stuff, or you'll be able to inform your employees what the culture is like and things like that. Now, I know that seems weird when it's like just you, because you are the entire culture basically, but it is useful to start putting those things into place and get those wheels in motion, because what you don't want is a situation where you're like, and like I said, I've lived this as I got all the way through. I've got I'm overwhelmed, which is usually what I do. I grow it to the point where I can't possibly handle it anymore. And then I start carving pieces off. Well, the thing is, at some point you have to carve those pieces off beforehand. You have to be working on that stuff. And then you're good. I mean, the first couple of employees, it's going to be painful. It's just So hire people that you know have got thicker skin or whatever it's going to be, because it can be very painful to get that crap out of your head. So the sooner you start, the sooner you try to do it. And honestly, you'll thank yourself, because some of that stuff, you'll do it, you'll come back 6 months later, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. So now, 6 months after we started this podcast, I'm going to throw this over to Michael and see if he remembers what our topic even was.
So thanks, Rob. Yeah, we were talking about when and how to grow in our business ourselves within our business. You kind of touched on a lot of different topics. I kind of want to take this and dissect this from a different angle. So, one of the things as entrepreneurs, as developers, when we build our businesses, unless you're lucky and you have endorsements, investors, free money, we have to bootstrap a lot of things. So we take on a lot of things on our plate at the beginning, and we essentially have to do everything. So we're overwhelmed by necessity. One of the things, and I think it was Tim Ferriss in his book years ago that I read, was don't look at, as you're growing your business or you're running your business, don't look at it as you are an employee. Actually, look at it that you're the owner. How can you extract yourself out of the company or out of the business? How can you hand off the tasks so that your business can run self-automated? Essentially, what if you got sick, or what if you got hit by a bus, or what if you had to take time off? How is your business going to run without you? So how I want to tackle this is when you want to grow your business, as you're building the business, what are the things, like Rob mentioned, that you can hand off to other employees? What can you automate? Essentially, every task that you do, look at it through a microscope and say, hey, is this something I should be doing? Is this something I can automate? Is this something I can hand off to a virtual assistant? Is this something I need to hire someone else to do? Because one of the benefits of doing it this way is if you have these policies and these procedures in place, you can start hiring people, then start pulling in the business, and then your business is already in a state to scale and grow without you being the bottleneck. Because early on in the businesses, we are the bottleneck. We are so passionate. We are the business. The business is us. In our minds, no one can run this business but us. Yes, we hire people to do tasks, but we are the only ones that can run the business. And that is the mindset you need to break. You need to look at your business as it is a job. It is your business, yes, but as Rob said, work for yourself. So establish yourself as the business owner, then set yourself up as an employee, and then figure out how to carve out your role for other employees or other contractors or virtual assistants so that you can divvy up the work, hand it off, and know when to scale or when you need to scale versus, like Rob said, he gets overwhelmed with businesses and then he needs to run out and hire people. In software development, this is typically when we need to test our applications because the companies didn't hire the QA people. We're ready to go to production, and now suddenly we need to hire 20 or 30 people to test our software. At the last minute, we find all these bugs, the deadlines shift. You don't want that. You want to be better prepared and scale to necessity versus scale to, not diversity, but to scale under pressure. You want to scale ahead of time, be ahead of the curve instead of being behind the ball and really stressing and trying to keep things moving forward, but then maybe lose a customer because you can't meet the demand. So these are just an alternative view to some of the tips that Rob mentioned. The other thing to think about is, that handoff. Look at, again, review your processes. What are you really doing that you need to be doing that you can't hand off? One of the best things I've ever done was to essentially go out to all my billers or all my vendors and set up autopay. I literally once a month go look at my invoices, look at my bank statements, balance the register, and everything's paid. I don't need to go do bookkeeping except for once a month. That saves you time because if you get a letter from a bill and you're like, oh, I got to pay this. You forget to pay it. You get late fees. You go pay it today. Oh, tomorrow you get another one. You got to go pay it. That time adds up. So those are either things you can automate, or if you have a virtual assistant, have that mail go to a PO box, let them pick it up, let them handle. So just look for things that you can strip out that you don't need to be doing. That and even think of it this way. Is it something that anyone should be doing? Is it something that you can just automate and forget and then it's gone? It's handled. Maybe review it once a month, once a quarter, just to make sure, the money's still going where it's going, your credit cards haven't expired. But that's just one of those little things that you can think about that you can apply to many different areas of your business. If you have websites, you maintain different websites, set up routines where they do daily backups or weekly backups. If it goes down, have it send you an alert. Little things, again, you can set up where you don't have to manually do it. You can get an email or you can just get an alert saying, hey, something's not working. That's when you go pivot and take the time to work on it. Or you have someone else go do it. So those are just some tips and ideas that I see on when and how to grow your business and even yourself. Because in your daily lives, what are some of the things that you're doing that you are wasting time on, or that you could batch or similarly automate? Look at ways that you can carve back time, that you can basically get time back and still get things done.
So you definitely went a different direction in that. And I think I'll stay off of that because I think we've gone into the automation piece in depth. So I do want to swerve us back into the challenge side of it. And this is really it is along the same lines of automating, is that you have to first identify something. It's sort of like, what is the problem? What is the task? What is it, the repetition? And for automation, we do that because, like, what is the repetition? What am I doing? What is the thing that is sucking up my time? When we want to expand, it's not that much different because it's what is it, but it is a little bit because it's what is taking my time that I don't need to. It gets a little bit more into priorities and some things like that, because there are some things that you need to do. Like, for example, let's say it is networking of some sort. It's talking to people. It's reaching out there and having a human touch. It has to be done. Automating it actually negates the whole value of it. But it may be that you're not a people person. So maybe it's better for you to go hire somebody that does sales and marketing and networking and some of those kinds of things. And then there are some things that it's not, it gets back to the idea of the value proposition. Is this the best use of your time? What is it that you bring to, what is your secret sauce? What is your skill? What is your value set that you bring to the table? And then honestly, everything that's not that, you should be looking at ways to carve that off. Now, challenge for the week is to look at your day and write up essentially, and this should be something, you don't have to get nuts, like just even 5 or 10 minutes, is write up essentially like let's say like a job proposal or position description of what would it look like if you were to hire somebody to do this set of tasks. So for example, it could be something like, I don't like accounting, let's say. So I'm going to go in and I want somebody that's going to balance the books, every month. Let's say they're going to deposit checks, chase down, maybe they're going to deal with receivables and things like, payables and receivables, and chase those down and swat vendors away or whatever they need to do. And basically put down a job description for that. And then the follow-up to that is going to be, what do you need to give a person to be able to do that? Now, there may be things like user IDs and passwords and stuff like that, which is fine. But even those, you should have somewhere, like have a booklet or a document or something of like, this is the stuff for this process. And just start that and grow it. because, and then this is sort of a rinse and repeat thing. So once you've done that for a little bit, go pick another area and another area and another area. Because sooner or later, what you're going to have like a lot of nice little notes, at least, if not documents or organizational structure of like, oh, cool, I need to really hire this person right now. Boom, I've got a lot of stuff. Because trust me, you don't want to do it in reverse. If you go hire the person and then you're having to do it, it's usually while it's very busy, and you may even be doing stuff like, I don't know, downsizing and selling a house and having your company growing and like all that kind of stuff at the same time. So you want to try to get ahead of the game, just like everything else is. Let's try to get ahead of the game on that. So that's your challenge. And I think you'll thank me for it somewhere down the road when you do grow enough that you're like, oh, wow, I got to like offset that stuff. I don't have time for it anymore. But you do have time to send us an email right now. So shoot us an email at info@developandor.com and let us know what you think. Where would you like us to go next? What are some questions, some topics, suggestions, all that kind of goodness? Because we are here for you, and we want to make sure that we are going down paths that you guys want us to go. Even if it's some crazy little rabbit trail, let's make sure that it's one that we are all at least entertained by, if not informed as well. You can also reach out to us on the developandor.com site. They have a contact us form. You can leave us comments and responses pretty much everywhere, including the Developandor channel out on YouTube. There's just anywhere you see podcasts, you can leave us review there and leave us notes and comments and things of that nature. Out on X, we are at Developandor. There's a Developandor Facebook page. We are everywhere. It's sort of. So wherever you're looking for somebody, we're there. And if you're looking for us somewhere and we're not there, let us know and we will get there. So we're doing our best to just like, get out there, get a nice big footprint, because we want to connect with you, because that is what it's all about, is this community and all of us helping each other, pushing each other. That iron sharpens iron kind of thing is like, let's be better developers all around. That being said, go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time. Bonus material. We went all over the place, so we could go anywhere with bonus, it feels like.
One of the things that just comes to mind, because you mentioned like hiring bookkeepers and that kind of briefly, especially starting out with a new business, or if you are not a bookkeeper type person, it might behoove you to get a CPA or a bookkeeper at least the first year or two to help you set up your finances, your bookkeeping, because I'll tell you, it can be a pain, a real pain. I've been doing this for 20 some years, restarted the business, trying to redo a new set of books. And because of the law changes every year with taxes, something got funky. And thankfully I have a CPA, and they were like, something's wrong. We're off by a couple $1,000 in expenses here. He was actually higher in expenses than I was, but we had the same amount of data. So it was one of those funky things. So things like that, if you are struggling with it, don't struggle. That is the time to look for help. And maybe that could be your first step in basically handing off a task.
Yeah, I think the struggle is always going to be a good sign that there's a problem, there's a challenge, there's something that needs to be addressed. I think it goes back to my bonus. I'm just going to double down a little bit on the challenge in that is make sure, and you should be doing this anyways, is we should be taking notes as we're going through things. We should have notes along things like, even like customer interactions and stuff like that. One of the things you can do that I guess is a good bonus is when you have meetings, and these days a lot of our meetings are on Zoom or some similar kind of thing. And when you've got these kinds of things out there, use a recording feature. You often will maybe have to ask, but just say, especially in like a sales call or anything like that, that's talking with the customer interaction, say, hey, is it okay if I record this? Because what you're going to be able to do is, one, you're going to be able to go back and get the details and make sure you didn't miss anything. But two, then you can also share that with people in the future and say, oh, by the way, here is the history of how we got here. And that has proven to be invaluable to me. There have been several times where we didn't have the time or anything else to have everybody available. Sometimes the employees didn't even work for me when we first started talking to the customer, but it allowed them to get a feel for the customer and what's going on and what the project is and all that kind of stuff. So There's a lot of value in that. So feel free to hit record wherever you can. A lot of this stuff is digital. It's very easy. You can just buy more hard drive space if you need it. That being said, you're
One
going
of
to give us one more thing.
I want to tack onto that because not just meetings, but if you find yourself doing repetitive tasks or doing like setting up a website or installing servers, you can use screen recording or Zoom, record what you're doing. These could be good training materials to use for when you hire new employees.
That is, yes, that actually is a great one. I've used that several times. I would definitely recommend that as well, where you just, some of these tasks, it is like setting up a computer, installing something, going out to, set up an account on a website or a cloud provider, SaaS or whatever it is, those kinds of things, even like navigating on your laptop or whatever. There's a lot of stuff that is, it's just easier to just record it and do it. Just like we do tutorials all over the place, you can do tutorials all over the place as well. And they are very valuable. And a lot of companies are doing it. So even if it's like a little Loom or one of those, it's just like a 30-second video, you will, trust me, it will help you immensely. One more time, we'll get back to this. So we will be back. We are not done. We've got another episode and then many episodes beyond that. So go out there and have yourself a great one, and we will talk to you next time.